being a production engineer rather than a concept designer. You will use lots of products like these toothbrushes. These days you will use these pump action soap and sanitizer bottles an awful lot. Ever thought about how they work? Ever thought about trying to draw one and draw all the insides of them and how they might be made? Here is a simple student's design. It's a child's sorter for different shapes, and it has an access at the side here which will pull out and allow you to actually get the products back out of here. As a design, this has had at some point a parts list made for it and all the parts being laid out. Here is a blank parts list. This is what you have to fill out for a design you're going to make. But we also need to know what shape each side is going to look like. So we're going to take our concept design and we're going to draw it on our paper. I'm using a pen so that you can see it clearly. But if I draw my concept design, it might well be that my design starts off as a box shape, a little bit like this. It will have some thickness on the materials. It will have the holes, perhaps showing some thickness for the shapes. So there is my child's sorter design idea. So that I can develop that, I need to think about partly how it could be improved in terms of shape, but also about how it might be made. And this is where the concept, which is what that is, starts to develop into a production design. The first thing to do is to actually think about that design and take it apart in your head. I have the advantage of a finished product here, which we're going to take apart. So you can take this physically apart by taking the nuts off the top here. And then you can just take that top off the unit to separate it into the individual components. So we have a top, we have 1, 2, 3 sides, we have a door which is slightly different, we have a base, and then we have these metal sticks which have got a dome nut on the top like that, and on the bottom they've got a plain nut like that. So if I took this design apart in my head, I'd have a top, so I can draw that top. It can just be a flat 2D shape, but I need to put the detail that I want to cut out of it onto that shape. I'll have a base. My base here is very different from my top, even though it's the same external size and the same thickness. So I need to draw it as a separate part. So my base would be drawn here, and I've got my slots that I've actually cut into it to allow the sides to mount, and I've also of course got the holes which mount each one up. Already I need to start to label them, so I'm going to label this top, I'm going to label this the base. I could start to add some annotation, because these drawings you need to be able to explain what they are. So these are holes to allow assembly. These are slots to hold the sides. I may need to draw the underside of the top, because you can see the underside has also got the same slots on it. So I might actually need to draw a top view and a bottom view. So my bottom view, you can see, has got my slots on, etc., etc. All my sides, 3 of them, are exactly the same, so I don't need to waste time drawing 3 of them. So sides, I can just say, well, you know what, I need 3 of those, and I can just draw the sides. And then the door, finally, is very similar to the sides in terms of its size, but one end is rounded, and it's got this little addition on it. So I'm going to draw that here, and I'm going to call that the door side. And I'm going to round the corners, and I'm going to make a note that these are rounded corners, and it's got a little piece of wood on there which I'm going to label as the door stop. Using my example, I've got some studding, some plain nuts and some dome nuts. Because the studding is 6mm wide, it's M6 studding. So I can draw those parts here. I could put some like that. I can label this studding. Because I need an idea of size, I could actually label that as M6 studding, and I could even draw my dome and my plain nuts.